Around noon today, you were probably one of the many Indians who suddenly found no WhatsApp messages going through. There were no calls, no payments or forwards that could be sent between about 12 noon and 2 p.m. today in India and many parts of the world. Now, while the outage, the longest this year for WhatsApp, gave rise to a barrage of jokes and memes on other platforms, it also exposed our extreme dependence on Meta-run messaging service, WhatsApp. Meta apologized for the inconvenience and the service was restored gradually. But did you stop to think how the WhatsApp freeze impacted us collectively? For many, work was interrupted, business was stalled. The app that nearly 50 crore Indians use for communication, payments, photo transfers, and yes, to send good morning and good evening messages has become a lifeline. It has over 2 billion users in 180 countries, 48.75 crore users in India. That's the highest in the world and crushes other apps in sheer numbers here. So here's some data for you about the dominance of WhatsApp. According to Sensor Tower, WhatsApp has been downloaded 140 crore times between 2014 and 2021. Telegram, that gained popularity during the data privacy controversy, has been downloaded 15 crore times, and Signal just about 39 lakh times. The story today, though, is not just about WhatsApp and Meta. There's another very important development that took place today. The Competition Commission of India fined Google a whopping 936 crore rupees today because they found they had abused their dominant position with respect to their Play Store. Put simply, Google has a monopoly on apps we download because 96% smartphones in India are on Android. So almost all users have to use the Play Store to download any app that gives Google a monopoly on what it charges. And this is a very simplified version of what the CCI said. So the question today really is, are we too dependent on large US-based tech companies that leave us gasping for breath if their services are disrupted? Is it time to find other alternatives? And what should be done to balance out this hegemony of sorts? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Arvind Gupta, Head Digital India Foundation, Lloyd Matthias, Business Strategist with us on the show. I'm speaking with Pavan Duggal, Cybersecurity Expert, N.S. Napinai, Advocate of the Supreme Court of India and founder of Cyber Sathi is with me today. And I also have with me Raksha Biyani of Mirror Now. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for speaking with us. I'm going to get a quick take from Raksha before we begin. Raksha, there was no real reason that Meta gave for the outage. They, of course, apologized for the inconvenience. But the number of outages have been increasing, isn't it? And there's never any clear reason why.
Absolutely, Tamanna. 2 billion active users globally across 180 countries. And WhatsApp, as you said, is an app that people use and depend on for not just work messages, private chats, but also WhatsApp Business. There are several small and medium scale enterprises which use WhatsApp Business in a B2C model to communicate with their users, whether it's to track deliveries or to share updates about the services. So yes, the message that we did get from WhatsApp today just said that we've fixed the issue and apologized for the inconvenience, but we do not know what the issue is. And the reports of outages were coming from not just India, but India, UK, Italy, Turkey, Iran, and several other countries. About previous outages, well, the last 6-hour-long outage that Meta as a group faced was in October of 2021, where WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all three of them had stopped working. Consequences? Mark Zuckerberg lost about $7 billion in his, from his kitty, and he dropped from the 3rd to the 5th position in the billionaires list. The Meta stock fell by 5%. So huge impact. At that time, they did mention that it was a major DNS failure. But after that also, in March of 2021, when WhatsApp was down for about 45 minutes, Meta came out with a statement attributing the outage to a technical issue. Again, lack of clarity. And they did accept that it caused issues, but Again, this time there is no reason that has come out from Meta in any form or the other. July 2020, when WhatsApp was down for 2 hours in India and worldwide, users complained that they were again unable to send or receive messages. But Meta again did not come out with any adequate information, reason. Some might call it arrogant, but some might also call it irresponsible, because as an app on which there are several downloads, WhatsApp actually ranks among the top 5 non-game apps that are downloaded
Absolutely,
globally.
Raksha. We are so dependent on WhatsApp. Today's events have actually just highlighted our intense dependence. Arvind Gupta, I wanted to come to you on this aspect as well. You know, how dependent we are on WhatsApp. We have no idea what happened. And of course, it was fun for a bit. All the jokes about, too many Diwali forwards, and that's why you had a crash, or people congratulating themselves about Rishi Sunak becoming Prime Minister, and that's why India and UK had this kind of a disruption. But the bigger question here is, what are really our alternatives, and is there any real transparency about what this very crucial service does?
Yeah, Tamanna, I think it's a valid point. We've seen, like in the digital world, you mentioned to the CCI, I think today Google has 96% of the market share. I think almost if you go by the 50 crore users that WhatsApp claims it has, I think it's a lot more than that. They probably have 70-80% of the smartphone users using WhatsApp in India. So it's again a very, very dominant platform. And they, till maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago, they didn't even have an India presence, an India team separate from Meta or Facebook then. So I think India constitutes their biggest market, and we definitely are hooked on to WhatsApp. There is no doubt. Wall Street Journal, what you're just saying today, probably carried on headlines 3 years ago when India wishes good morning, WhatsApp becomes slow or goes down. So I think we, as a country, we've just embraced WhatsApp because, we were probably the first big market that WhatsApp went after the US into India, and we continue to do so. Now, the question really is, does WhatsApp of course it does. It cannot hide behind it's a free application. It's not. It's a commercial enterprise, and whenever there is a large user base, there is accountability that they should have to the consumers. And this time around, also, they've not come out with a clear explanation. But having said this, I mean, India has shown the path. I mean, there was dominance of a lot of Chinese platforms in India. And 2 years ago, we banned Chinese platforms, and, alternates came about. So we've
Arvind,
seen
frankly, just a small, quick interjection there. We banned TikTok, and Instagram Reels took its place. Again, a Meta-owned company.
Yes, so that is definitely, see,
my point is, between Meta and Google and Twitter, all US-based big tech companies, there is a stranglehold on the daily activities of many, many Indians. Let's wake up and smell the coffee.
Yes, absolutely. And there is no doubt. I will be the last person on this planet to say that there was this two big platform powers, the Chinese platforms and the American platforms. We banned the Chinese platforms. The Silicon Valley platforms are now most dominant. But the point I was making is related to that if, while you talked about Instagram Reels taking over, there has also been at least 4 or 5 Indian startups which have occupied that space. And similarly, I mean, today, WhatsApp has a credible competitor. I'm not saying it's anywhere close to the numbers in Telegram. And again, if you go to Telegram, I can imagine they have not shared that geographic data, but 30 to 40% of their users would be coming from India. And similarly, you will have other options coming up. The point I was trying to make, Tamanna, was, and that's the last thing I would say, is that India has always shown the path. Indian innovation, Indian talent has always shown the path that if need be, we will come up with an alternate very fast. So companies like WhatsApp/Meta need to always adhere, keep the consumers in mind, keep our national interest in mind, keep our policies in mind, and be more user-centric and national security-centric. And if they're not, they will face the brunt, both of policy, as Google is saying right now, / the users, and somebody else will take that place. There is nothing called arrogance in this world, and if they think they're a monopolistic, arrogant power, their life
No,
will
but
be.
they are technical. I mean, in practical terms, they are. I mean, today for 2
Well,
hours,
and
there
that's
was
what
there
that's
was a
my message
huge
to them then.
disruption. There was a
Well,
huge disruption.
my message to them then is that they should be more, they should be clearly not that, and they should be clearly more user focused. And I would expect them to be more user focused and more policy and national security focused. Absolutely, and that's been our stance throughout. So
Okay. Pawan Duggal, can you give us a sense of what could have happened and why do these outages keep occurring? Is it just the sheer volume of data on these apps and the fact that there's so many users in India, that's why we seem to be relatively more impacted?
Not at all. On the contrary, I believe that this is one particular episode which has once again underlined the entire complex issue of cybersecurity. Now, the very fact that your Meta service goes down or the WhatsApp service goes down for almost 2 hours and there is no explanation, the chances are it could very well be connected with a breach of a cybersecurity. Because had it not been with a breach of cybersecurity, then there would have been crystal clarity in terms of the announcement of the company. But the very fact that the company has chosen not to give you the reason could very well be, today let's understand, it's the season of cybersecurity breaches. Everybody is getting attacked. So if WhatsApp gets attacked, it should not come in as a surprise. But then the bigger issue that comes up for consideration is, should we not take this as a wake-up call? Because Indians have been now glued to WhatsApp, and WhatsApp has contributed in a remarkable manner in the further growth and evolution of the great Indian vomiting revolution, where Indians are vomiting all kinds of data on WhatsApp and other platforms without understanding the legal ramifications on their privacy or stuff. So I think the company needs to be more transparent. It could potentially be connected with a cybersecurity breach. And if it's just a technical error, then the company owes an even bigger explanation to its commercial users and normal users that what is it that you had actually done to prevent such kind of a technical error. And if so, are there any glitches or are there any gap zones in your cybersecurity shield set? Because at the end of the day, you cannot say that this is just a normal phenomenon. You cannot go down or you cannot go blank for 2 hours and say, look, we're just looking at it, we are sorry for this, and we appreciate your patience. Sorry, the users, even it's a free user, since you are actually fueling your entire business operations on the monetization of users' content and their data, I think everybody is requiring an explanation, which is currently missing. Well, the fact, because India does not have a cybersecurity law in place, they actually get emboldened to come up with this kind of a statement.
Miss Napinai, absolutely. They don't technically, legally, let me come to NS Napinai on this. They don't technically, legally owe us an explanation, isn't it? They don't have to tell us. They don't have to tell us what happened. We can just keep guessing.
Not quite so, because currently there is a mandatory reporting requirement with respect to cybersecurity incidents with certain, which falls within the Ministry of IT. So on one hand, you have a legal mandate which makes it necessary for you to report if this outage is because of a cybersecurity incident. And cybersecurity incident is a very broad head. If you look at all the categories that the certain rules also covers, you'll see that almost any and every kind of cyber incident will probably fall into the cybersecurity incident heading. One, so there is a legal requirement. Two, is it too far-fetched for us to assume that it could be a cybersecurity incident? Not quite so. If you look back to the 2016 DDoS attack on DIN servers, which actually impacted social media platforms, you'll see that it is a possibility that a cyber incident or a security breach occurred, because of which the outage could have happened. And finally, Tamanna, your question may probably lead to whether we as users are also entitled to information. I would in a way say that yes, we are, because I would read that into the sensitive personal data rules to say that if there has been a violation of my sensitive personal information, then it is only right that I be informed so that I can also
But that's true. But then how do I verify that? That is up to Meta to actually let us know whether there was a breach of any sensitive information or not. It's all up in the air right now. My point is that there is no third-party independent scrutiny of anything going on. Meanwhile, nearly 50 crore people are on this app. Yes, Arvind Gupta wants to come in. Arvind Gupta wants to come in on this point. There's no legal demand or there's no legal right I have as a WhatsApp user today to find out A, why the service was down. What if I had a business on this service and I lost money? Was any of my data, leaked? I don't know anything.
As Napinai has already explained to you, this is not without scrutiny and accountability. This responsibility that they have of this 50 crore user base, the government is very, very quick on its feet. They'll be required to give an explanation. And as Mr. Duggal has said very eloquently, that if there is a cyber breach, which it could very well be, then explanation is owed. And this explanation cannot be an hogwash or eyewash. I think you have to trust the expertise within the IT ministries also, that they, when they take explanation, there is enough both technical details and non-technical details that are sought about. So I won't say that they don't owe us an explanation. They do, and if they do, if they reply officially, it better be correct.
Okay. I want to extend the discussion to what we've seen with Google today as well and get Lloyd into this conversation. The reason I spoke about the Google story and the Google developments in the context of WhatsApp, Google, of course, has been pulled up for, violating rules of the Competition Commission of India, second fine in about a week, 900 crores plus that they have been fined. But look at the hegemony of Google. We have right now 96% of smartphones sold in this country are on the Android platform. That means anyone who has to download an app has to basically go to the App Store. All of your Indian companies who want to do business, Digital India, they have to pay Google to get their apps onto the smartphones of Indians. I'm trying to put this as simply as possible. And Google has had to pay a fine on it. Are we realizing how dependent we are on these companies?
Hey, thanks, Tamanna. I think that's a great point, and I think it's totally in line with the discussion thus far. And I think the concern is more than just Google. I mean, if you look at the new acronym MAMA, as it's called, which is Meta, which owns Facebook, Insta, WhatsApp. Then you have Amazon, you've got Microsoft, you've got Apple, and then of course the other elephant in the room, Alphabet, that has Google and YouTube. I think they command a disproportionate share of people's digital time. Just another point that's not in the headlines is that the fastest growing segment of advertising in India is digital, right? It's about 35 to 40% of advertising in this country is now going to digital. And that got accelerated in the course of the pandemic. And just two companies, which is Google and Facebook, or Google and Alphabet. I'm just getting confused here. So I would say Meta and Alphabet, they control 80% of the digital advertising. Right? So for every rupee spent on digital advertising in India by Indian advertisers, 80% goes to either of these companies because they own all the major digital platforms. And I think that is, the other significant concern. So we all know the concerns on search. We all know the concerns of going to the App Store and downloading and Android's near dominance. But even advertisers, and therefore all news publishers, recognize that these two corporations have a near stranglehold on the Indian market. And sooner or later, I think this has to be looked into far beyond just the competitive commission, right? A similar thing was seen in telecom in the US in the 80s when they had two companies, AT&T, that pretty much controlled all of America's telecom. And US lawmakers forced to break it down into what is called baby bells. So I think sooner than later, and I think the European Union has already taken the lead, I think we'll need to look at these mega corporations, which in a sense have a disproportionate share of almost everything. And given how much our lives are moving digital, I think this is an absolutely serious issue.
Pawan Duggal, you called it a mass act of vomiting out information that Indians do on all of these sites and the amount of information we put out. Why do you think other alternatives have not picked up? And why is there such a dominance of WhatsApp specifically in India? I mean, after all, we can still use good old SMS, though they've become more spam than anything else. People can download Signal, they can use Telegram. Why have these not picked up?
The reason is very simple. Indians love to follow the herd mentality, and they love to believe what they are being told. So I must compliment the entire the advertising campaign of WhatsApp, because they have been able to convince Indians to believing that WhatsApp is the most secure platform in the world, which is completely contrary to the exact facts. WhatsApp does not tell you that its end-to-end encryption is only from point to point, but somehow take a lay Indian user and he will believe that WhatsApp is the most secure platform in the world. If that's the question, then we have to ask ourselves a further question. How is it that the most secure platform in the world today goes dark for almost 2 hours? I think it's more got to do with messaging that's been responsible. And also, because WhatsApp is far more easier in terms of usage, it allows anyone to disseminate audio, video, image, text at the fraction of a second. The reason why other players like Telegram and Signal have not been able to catch on is primarily they have not been able to put that money bags into the advertising campaigns, into making Indians realize. Today, if you are a tech geek, then you'll possibly go for a Signal or you'll go for a Telegram rather than a WhatsApp, knowing fully well that breaking of WhatsApp is only a child's play. But because the messaging is so strong and because everybody appears to be on WhatsApp, Indians love to go ahead and
it is easier to
use.
WhatsApp is easier to use. It's more intuitive. They have been more, embracing of the diversity of language use in India, of people being able to use their local languages, so they have been easier to use. Could be because they have more money to spend on it, but they are a more superior product in that sense.
And if I could just add in, Tamanna, with your permission,
yes,
I think it's also
they're more superior product in terms of consumer friendliness.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Lloyd wanted to quickly come in.
Yeah, I just briefly want to say that WhatsApp also launched a feature a year ago, which is the WhatsApp for Business. So the fact that WhatsApp in India is well beyond just a messaging app. The fact that a lot of us use a WhatsApp call even more than mobile calls, given the state of, shall we say, some of our mobile networks. So I think WhatsApp has got a disproportionate share. It's not just chatting and messaging. It's also WhatsApp for Business. It's the fact that we make a lot of our voice and video calls on WhatsApp. So the dependence is immensely more. And lastly, as you said, it's not just the intuitiveness, it's the network effect. The fact that we all use WhatsApp is because we know for sure that the guy at the other end also has WhatsApp. So you can do a video call, you can do a messaging call, which is not the case for a Signal, a Telegram, or indeed a Share Chat, or various other options we have.
Yes.
And just to carry that discussion forward, just one step, if WhatsApp was standalone as it was 8 years ago, I think WhatsApp would be a different thing. WhatsApp is actually supported by Meta, or then Facebook, now Meta. The amount of money, as you rightly said, is being behind WhatsApp. None of the independent companies have that kind of access to capital. And the access to capital of a Telegram would be much more limited, or a Signal, or even the other apps like, Line anywhere else in the world and things like that. So being part of this big giant platform and Facebook really helps them be what dominant position they are in, and that's why there has been many calls in the past to kind of disintegrate and debundle them. But time will tell how it goes about. But there is no doubt about what Pawan is saying or what Lloyd is saying, that there is a lot of money at play here. The Facebook investment or Meta's investment into WhatsApp is really paying off now, because now they are monetizing what they never thought they will be able to monetize. So,
I'm just showing all of these memes. If you're wondering what are these pictures next to Arvind while he's speaking, these are some of the choicest memes which were doing the rounds today when, WhatsApp went off and everyone was stressing about it. It also showed our extreme dependence on using WhatsApp. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but on a policy level, we have to try and understand whether we want to be so dependent on something which is just out of the realm of our control. Definitely food for thought there. I want to thank all of you for joining us on the lead story this evening on Beyond the Headline. Thanks Pawan, Ms. Napinai, Arvind Gupta, Lloyd Matthias, and of course Raksha for joining us on the show. We'll take a very, very short